Tonight's top story is the lab leak cover-up by the media and big tech. I have a taste of guilt in my mouth. Is it getting hot in here? Hi, trusted viewer. So the possibility of the whole damn thing coming from a lab is getting pretty real. Your good friends here at the media and social media spent over a year discrediting anyone who brought up even the possibility of it coming from a lab. And now we're finding out it's almost like the media and big tech were involved in a conspiracy themselves to deceive the public by smearing scientists, politicians, and individuals if they brought up the lab leak theory. Except what we at the media were conspiring to do was not a theory, it was a reality. So technically what we did was not a conspiracy theory, it was just a conspiracy reality, which is much better. As legacy media smeared it, and Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Google censored speech about it, now with no new scientific findings, the media is willing to report on it. And social media is no longer censoring speech about it. For example, the Washington Post once said of the lab leak possibility, "It's a conspiracy theory that's already been debunked." And now they want an investigation into it? It might seem like we're part of a massive cover-up as we're slightly walking back our propaganda because the public will no longer believe our deceptive narrative. But we'll just have to wait and see if we at the media start reporting on what we're guilty of. Until then, you're just a crazy conspiracy theorist if you think we're covering anything up based on the evidence we can't hide from you any longer. This just in! Objectively speaking, the mainstream media and social media giants lied to you for over a year. But at least we're not accountable. Now, let's clear up a point of confusion that's come up a lot recently. Why is it okay for big tech to censor your speech and not allow information to be expressed to you in its agenda to make sure you don't get health perspectives other than those from the CDC and WHO? Considering the CDC has simply been wrong a lot, and considering the World Health Organization, along with betting nowhere near 1,000, is very corrupt, with many viewing it as simply an extension of the Chinese Communist Party, as well as being an extension of a certain someone else's agenda. By the way, that certain someone else has given the World Health Organization over $2 billion since the 90s, probably directly funding their anti-corruption wing, I'd imagine. Well, to help understand why all this is okay, consider this. Only getting health views from the CDC and WHO is like parents only getting babysitters who are committed to keeping their children out of harm's way some of the time. And that's simply the sign of good parenting by the media. So with that in mind, the censorship and disinformation campaign that's deceived you is all okay because, you guessed it, it's been for your protection. After all, you're the children in this situation, needing someone to babysit you and tell you what to think. Unless, of course, you grow up and think for yourself like an adult. Luckily for you in the pandemic, the scientific consensus we advocate for comes from bureaucratic scientists controlled by global organizations instead of independent thinkers. Because us shoving these consensus views down your throat helps protect you from having your health choices made by you and your doctor. After all, it's been scientifically proven that you're too stupid to think for yourself. Even though polls showed the majority of people believe the US government and media tried to cover up the lab leak theory, which basically proves you were right and we were wrong. And because you were right, we at the media need to double down on our efforts of protecting you from thinking for yourself. But the question still begs to be asked, why the change? After a year of censorship, Facebook announces it'll no longer censor speech about lab leak possibilities? And mainstream media quietly issuing corrections after a year of falsely debunking lab leak theories? Is it because the political party we all take our marching orders from while pretending we don't has been caught red-handed in lies and is therefore gently walking it all back while gaslighting the public? Let's see if this has any clues on it. Biden team reportedly shut down secretive Trump-era project pursuing the Wuhan lab leak theory? And then, Biden orders closer review of COVID origins as Intel weighs Wuhan lab leak theory. Well, no clues in that, circle jerk. It's probably just a coincidence that the media behaves exactly the same way the Biden administration does. And if you want to get technical, the reason why the media behaves the way it does is because we're filled with top-notch scientists. That's why we're called the media instead of scientists. And we behave the exact same way that Biden does because he's also a top-notch scientist. Here you can see Biden sharing his expertise on an important scientific matter.
Well, look, I mean, he has made clear that the answer is...
And that's the exact same amount of scientific knowledge we have as well. Your trusted source that determines what science you're allowed to see. That same scientific body of knowledge helps us know that over a year ago when Trump said the virus came from a lab in Wuhan, he was dead wrong. The correct information is that the virus could have come from a lab in Wuhan. See the scientific difference? So could we all just stop acting crazy and follow the science? So yes, we've changed, because how we're willing to report the science that hasn't changed has changed. Also worth noting that every fact checker that ever said false to lab leak possibilities has now been fact checked as false themselves, improving their already stellar credibility. But I'm sure that's the one and only time the fact checkers have ever been unfactual. Please continue to believe them over your own perspective. This just in! We literally hypnotize you on a daily basis. Many of your thoughts are not your own, they come from us for your protection. Keep watching, we're doing it now! So even though our cover-up of the lab leak possibilities have been exposed, can you keep trusting us at the media and your good friends at Big Tech? Answer? Absolutely. Because the one that's not safe to trust is yourself. You can trust us on that. That's it for tonight's report. Tune in tomorrow night so you can be distracted from finding out the two firms, Vanguard and BlackRock, own almost all of mainstream media, and also own sizable portions of Facebook, Apple, and Alphabet, YouTube and Google's parent company. Which kind of means they own the tools that have the biggest influence on what you think and do. Oh, and Vanguard is also the #1 shareholder in Pfizer, and BlackRock is their 3rd biggest shareholder, but that probably doesn't correlate to anything. Good night! I want to thank the sponsor of this video, BlueBlox, my favorite evidence-based blue light blocking glasses. Oftentimes at night, I'm on my computer, whether I'm writing scripts, scrolling, giving away all my personal information to Big Tech, or watching a show on Netflix. But my BlueBlox help protect me from blue light so I can do it all safely. Because here's the deal, blue light at night can negatively influence our hormonal system, which means we don't sleep very well, which means we wake up the next day in a hormonal deficit with less energy and not feeling very good. And that doesn't feel very good. That's why wearing BlueBlox has become my all-time favorite bang for your buck biohack, because they protect me from blue light so I can wake up the next day feeling and functioning my best, which is something I like to do, and maybe you'd like to do it. BlueBlox also comes in a variety of stylish frames with lens options. So if you want to protect yourself from blue light while looking more stylish doing it so you can feel and function your best, just go to blueblox.com/JP, and also be sure to use the discount code JP to get 15% off.